What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another tier list episode of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango. Joining me, as always, are Callum Wiggins.
Hello.
And Robert DeFelice.
Hey, hey.
Ho ho. We are talking about the AEW men's roster right now. We are following up on what we've done with the previous 3 episodes from the past week or so. Go back and check them out if you want to see our tier lists for the WWE men's and women's rosters and the AEW women's division roster, which we just got done recording a few minutes ago, but we're releasing this the next day kind of thing. So check back yesterday's post that we had up on that. And we're going to run through this the same way that we've done with everything else. We've got our tiers that are exactly the same, from the S tier at the very top, the GOATs, through the F tier, the drizzling shits, as Callum had named back in the last time that we did this last year.
Yep.
And the no opinion one is our just sort of, we don't really know. You know, we haven't seen much of them. We don't want to really formulate an opinion with having not seen a whole lot. Be a little bit harsh to judge them negatively when they are brand new, but at the same time, we can't just say that somebody that brand new is definitely some A tier type of person. So keep that in mind as well. Also, let us know what you have to say about your rankings for all these different people, because you might agree, you might disagree, you might think that we are exactly how it would be. Whatever that scenario, drop a comment below on YouTube, and while you're over there, hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done that already. Join the channel notifications with that little email alert kind of deal. There's the thanks button. Check that out if you want to toss a little tip jar money our way. Pick up a t-shirt on TeePublic and Redbubble if you want to pick up some merchandise. Join the members-only side of things if you want to get access to the Darkcast episodes that you can only listen to if you are on there or if you are on the Patreon, patreon.com/smarkoutmoment. And obviously go to smarkoutmoment.com. Check out everything that's happening there. Some plugs out of the way before we move on to some other ones like that. But let's go into the roster itself. Let's not waste any more time on this one. And what we've been doing lately with a lot of our different tier lists, whether it's been on this pro wrestling stuff or it's been on the A Review to a Kill series over on Fanboys Anonymous, is we've found that it's a lot easier to establish some baselines of just kind of at least one person per tier, just to see where we're working with. And, you know, well, if this person's this tier, then this person needs to be another one like that. It was a little bit harder to do that for the women's division because there's just not as many, but we have a wide variety of people on this one. So we can definitely think of somebody for each of these tiers just off the top of our heads, I'm sure. So I do want to, before we even go with necessarily the tiers themselves, I want to try to figure out some of the no opinions, because those are the ones that really are kind of hard to place other than no opinion. And I mean,
Darius Martin is one because he's been out with an injury.
I would say Darius Martin's another no opinion on my my mark too. I would put Brock Anderson because he's just brand new. I would put
to rank him.
Oh, you would rank Brock?
No, so it'd
No,
be
he said
harsh
it'd
to
be
rank him.
harsh.
Oh, I thought you said I would be pushed to rank him. I was like, oh wow, I have an opinion. I have zero opinion about Lee Moriarty. I haven't even watched the episode where he's offered the contract, so he's a name.
He's great. You guys will get to love him, but I'm okay with not ranking him right now.
Yeah, he's not done anything in AEW significantly yet, so I don't feel like there's a need to put him into a slot just yet.
You guys will love him though. Ryzen, I got nothing to fucking say about Ryzen.
I feel like I could rank Ryzen now.
And it's pretty low, isn't it?
It's not going to be high. Yeah.
Yeah. He's I think his ceiling is A.
Yeah.
It might be worse than that, but like that's
I'd go so far as to say he might be an F tier, but I think that E right now makes sense. So I'll put him in E.
Yeah, for now. We'll see.
We could always move things around.
I would say I wouldn't be super confident with Aaron Solo. I feel like he's been like a side character so long.
See, I could rank him, but I'd rank him E.
He'd be D for me.
I think when we come to a lot of these people, D is way too generous for
It's
Aaron
a little
Solo.
high D. Yeah, I wouldn't go drizzling shits for Aaron Solo by any means, but I'd put him
if
in
you're
E.
able to rank him in E, then yeah, you guys can put him in there. If I was to put him anywhere, it would be somewhere definitely in the lower half and probably towards the E side of things.
Yeah.
Are we
don't
ranking
have...
Guns?
What about a Go-Go?
Actually, so funny enough, it was this group. I'm not putting them in C. I'm just moving them over here for anybody who's wondering.
Austin Gunn could be ranked.
Yeah, I want to rank the Guns.
So these were some ones that I was kind of thinking about putting somewhere.
The Bears have been on TV forever.
And Fuego. You mentioned a Go-Go. He's not done too much.
He's no opinion. I'm not gonna hold him to that match with Cody.
He's had one match with Cody, and then he had like 2 or 3 matches in the build up to that, and then he got injured. So
I'm cool with no opinion. The Bears, I don't have an opinion for, just because they're just kind of somewhat enhancement talent, not 100% enhancement talent. Obviously,
they were in a hyped Godzilla versus Kong match on TV like 3 months ago. I think they've been on TV long enough where you can rank them.
Well, they've been on Dark and Dark Elevation enough primarily. I would say, well, if I was to rank him, I wouldn't go any higher than a D.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably put them there.
All right, 2 votes for D.
Yeah, they might even move down, but they're not going any higher than D's. But so we'll put them there for now.
Fuego.
What do you think? Fuego wrestles a lot on obviously Dark and Dynamite, and was part of the gimmick. And he's a very charming personality, but I don't know what his ceiling is yet. Or I don't know. I want to put him in no opinion just because I don't feel confident to put him in anywhere, even though I feel like I've seen enough of him. See,
now, but another thing to establish too is somewhat of our rankings become personal preference. Somewhat it becomes this is where I would want them to be, and some of it is this is just where they are. And somebody like Fuego seems like a cool guy and seems like a fun enhancement talent, but he seems like he will never be anything more than an enhancement talent to me. And if that's what he's cool with, then by all means, he can make a career out of that kind of a deal. But I'd put him in E tier because I don't see him being anything like the Bears. If they're D and they were in this hyped up, this will be a lot of fun type of match, Fuego's biggest thing so far is well, that guy's going to get his ass kicked and not get a contract. You know what I mean? So just kind of by nature of Solo and Ryzen, I'm he's an E tier.
But it's different with him because Fuego has been around enough that he is a known personality.
I would say right now he does fit into the E tier just because he doesn't have a great deal of credibility behind him.
Mm-hmm.
And if it was my company, he'd be used as a jobber as well. So yeah, I would co-sign the E ranking.
Because that we've got it listed as below par for D tier. It doesn't mean that they're bad wrestlers. It's just that they're not high up on the hierarchy compared to some of the other things, or in some cases we will rank people based off of their pure talent from our perspective, but sometimes it's just a matter of, well, they're not going to win a match compared to that. It's a little bit of kayfabe, a little bit of shoot, and Fuego is definitely under, if we're going to classify this jobber status, he's a jobber, I would go, for instance, if we're talking about the Guns, I'd probably put these two on the same tier, but if I'm going to put them in different tiers, Austin's above Colton for sure.
Oh, Austin is above Colton.
So I would lean more towards even maybe Austin in D and Colton in E.
I would be happy with that.
Yeah, they're not. I just wanted to rank them because they've been around long enough.
Yeah, they've been around long enough that I wouldn't have put them in no opinion by any means now.
Can we follow that up by putting Billy Gunn in D as well?
Billy Gunn in what?
D for Dad?
Yeah, Billy Gunn, D for Dad.
I'd go C.
C is where you start crossing into. C is where I start crossing into the opinion of people that I could reasonably see challenging for the TNT title. If Billy Gunn was ever challenging for the TNT title, I'd go fucking ballistic almost.
Billy Gunn is 57 years old. I'm impressed that he's
57.
Yeah,
he's 57 years old.
God damn, Billy Gunn.
He's incredible. Yeah, he's incredibly impressive. He looks incredibly impressive for obviously for that age. But I think that when you reach that age, your time's kind of been and gone. Just he's a good name enhancement talent.
Talk about a fucking stud, right? Like 57, and he's better. Like if I didn't know that he's 57, and if you would have said that he's like
40.
30, like I'd be like, this guy could be a world champion again. Like, it's just kind of, man, great stuff, Billy Gunn. On that list of, I think he probably could have been a world champion in WWE, but that's a different discussion for another day. Any other potential no opinions that are on this? I don't think so.
I think we got everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, there's potential maybe for some people, but
yeah. Well, I think there's no one that's like screaming out to me as like an obvious like. If we come to him and say, "Oh, actually, we just don't have no opinion," then we can come to it. So yeah. I don't think I think we can work through the list now and work away.
So let's go establish some of the S tier ones. Some pretty obvious ones are out there.
Have either of you heard of someone called Kenny Omega?
Yeah,
Kenny has I mean, I know you guys want to put him in F. I know you do. Yeah, Kenny's obviously an S tier. Where is he on here? Jericho's an S tier.
No.
Well, hold on a minute there, pal.
He's an A tier.
You guys are on A.
His time as like the top one, I feel, is been and gone.
Although I will say, when you classify S tier as GOAT, Jericho does describe.
Oh yeah, he does fit into that mold. But like I would say in terms of like the positioning in the company and stuff like that, I feel like you need to start moving beyond Jericho a little bit more. Start using him as kind of a guy that can elevate the absolute top. I don't say like top enhancement talent anyway, but more of a like the guy that can set the new generation, set the people who are currently in B tier, elevate them towards A and S tier. That's where I kind of see Jericho now.
If that's 2 votes for A, he goes in A, but we always could change it too, of course, if we start realizing that our bell curve is a little bit skewed or something.
I think the landscape has changed a little bit in AEW, so we'll see.
Moxley.
S, yeah.
Yeah.
It's an S. Trying to think of some of the other S's.
I would say, well, Rob, I want you to co-sign this one with me, please.
Okay.
Miro is an S.
Yeah, Miro. Yeah, listen, he is having an S run right now. As we rank this on September 15th, 2021, Miro is an S tier character.
I'd go A.
No.
I feel like if he
could be world champion tomorrow and I wouldn't bat an eyelid. If
he was world champion right now, he'd be S. But I feel like you got to have a distinction between those and that. That's, to me, that's A plus kind of deal.
S.
He is really good. I mean, who knows? We might get to this next year and he'll be a D. We never know, really. But right now, he's on the run of his life. I'll give him his flowers while he's around.
So then I guess I should ask just to see how you guys are feeling about this. When you're ranking these, do you rank in your minds positioning on the card as a factor? Like, because I mean, it's the TNT title's not the world title.
Like, no, but it's
but
they don't treat it as like a super secondary championship either. It is the secondary title, but he is treating it as though it was a world championship.
Yeah, Tony Khan will fight you if you call that belt the mid-card title.
Yeah, and
but it fundamentally is, though. You know how WWE says, SmackDown's not the B show, and it's like, come on. Like,
yeah, but it's like
Miro's fighting Fuego. You know, that kind of deal. Like,
yeah, but he's crushing Fuego.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, you got people that, beat the shit out of somebody who's an upper mid-carder sort of deal. Like, to me, that's kind of the difference. That's the A tier type of range to me, where, like,
I judge someone based on that part of their like positioning on the card currently, but I also look at them and say, if it was my company, what would he be? And he would be like right near the top of the company.
He'd be there fighting for the world championship or world champion.
Yeah, I mean, I think as soon as he drops that title, he goes straight towards the world championship. He can't be anywhere outside the main event after this run with the TNT title. Not for an extended period, anyway. He's too good, and he's proven that he's one of the best talkers in the company. He's one of the best. He just looks like an absolute dominant big worker because of the fact that there's so many more smaller guys in AEW compared to WWE that he looks like an absolute giant.
Yeah, Miro right now looks like what he should have been fighting John Cena at WrestleMania.
Yeah, and so I can't not put him in S tier. He's too good.
So who would you guys say is another A tier then, to kind of balance that out?
Adam Cole, baby.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't had a match yet, so I can't put him in S just because I want
We know
to.
too much about Adam Cole, so he can't be any lower than that, I don't think. But I don't think he's S yet because he needs to be more established in AEW, and already his current positioning is that he's not. I don't want to say second fiddle to Kenny Omega, but he's like vice president of that group now.
How do you guys feel about Andrade? Because to me, he leans towards B.
B. I'm happy with B with him.
Like, we know that Andrade is great, but
he can go higher. But right now, I'd say he's B.
Right now, it's not exactly working A tier for me right now for him.
Well, you're just hovering over a guy there that we can put in A. Pretty comfortably.
Who was I hovering over?
Hangman Adam Page.
Ah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hangman's.
Once he wins the third title, we could potentially get into S, but right now he still just needs it.
Eddie Kingston, A or B?
Not an A. Can't go A for Eddie Kingston.
No, I wouldn't say A, but I'd comfortably go into B, I feel.
I'd go B minus.
All right, B it is.
I mean, he's going to be the guy that beats Miro for this championship, probably. But yeah, I'd say B. I think he's solid. Great talker. Good in the ring.
Yeah, the ring stuff, not as much to me, but fantastic. A tier talker, if not S tier talker. In ring, more towards C. Overall, B minus.
Yeah,
that kind of deal.
What are we gonna do? We need some
Johnson.
Lee Johnson.
That's a D. I mean, the name popped out.
Yeah,
Lee
D.
Johnson's a D. Yeah, he's got some potential, but I'm not seeing it yet to bump him up too much into C.
Well, I think it's time we try and establish a little bit of a middle of the road.
Yeah.
Who is middle of the road right now? And I would say that
Brian Pillman Jr. for me.
Brian Pillman Jr. and I'd say both him and Griff Garrison could both fit into the C.
I allow it.
I'm a fan of the tag team. I'm a fan of them individually. Pillman Jr. took a step up over the past 2 weeks, even in particular. But I liked him before that, so it's not like that was like the saving grace of like, oh, well, now I actually like him. It's like, no, this guy, I've liked this guy for quite a while.
I would add,
you know what? Let me move these guys in a weird way because we're gonna talk about them. This list is long enough that I'm bouncing things around here and there.
Can I throw Sean Dean into no opinion, even though he has a graphic?
I've seen fair enough. I've seen enough of him that I'd put in either D or E, probably.
All right, then you guys are gonna rank him,
and what? You got all Transformer on us.
Yeah.
Okay, Rob's got no opinion because he's got no voice, I guess. Just
he's got no voice, no internet connection. Got no.
Sean Dean, I don't know. He's kind of in the same boat as some of these other kind of people, where like a Lee Johnson or even a Daniel Garcia, where I'm like not loving what he's done, but he's not done anything bad. I don't think. Well, let's put it this way. He's not as high up for me as Brian Pillman Jr., so he's D at the highest.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I'd probably go D.
I think that's fair.
D for Dean. Just to get these out of the mix, too. I don't think I'd put any of these in C tier, but if I did, it probably would be Wheeler Yuta.
That's weird that you would put any of them in C tier. Like, for me, Carl Anderson's B.
Carl Anderson. Oh, Carl Anderson's on here. I didn't even see that.
You've got Carlos and Dog Gallows.
I've got Gallows and Anderson. Yeah, they're both at least C.
Like Anderson, but because I always look at Anderson, I feel like, again, it might be slight bias about knowing him from his New Japan times, but he's a much better wrestler than Gallows is. I know they're kind of like a double act now, so it's kind of hard to separate them, but you know.
I'd put them
in
C.
They're very least in that thing, so we'll see as it gets back to it, but I think that'll probably be where they end up.
Do we have Rob back yet?
Let's see. Do you have me back?
Seems like we might. You co-signing Gallows and Anderson in that C tier range right now?
Yeah, I think I'd sign off on that.
Yuta, I'm enjoying. I think that he's got something. I put him in C.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. He's nice.
And then,
personally,
I mean, Daniel Garcia's been wrestling more frequently and more prominently than the other ones, so he's a higher tier. But I mean, C at the most, D, but definitely higher than the other three in my mind.
I'd feel more comfortable putting Daniel Garcia in C just because I feel like there's a higher ceiling.
Garcia's a C for me.
Yeah.
I'm cool with C.
He's got a high C. He's on the lower end of C right now, but I think he still fits into that bracket more comfortably. The other three,
I lean more towards E.
For all of them?
Potentially.
I would say the only one that I would put in D is JD Drake, just because I feel like he's the best worker of the three of them. But I can't fight a strong enough argument to put him outside of E if you guys think that that's the better fit.
I can see potentially Nemeth D.
I'd
Do we lose Rob again?
I mean, I think he's really trying. He's really trying his hardest, but his internet is not helping him out here.
It must
his
be the
internet's
case.
his FT is the drizzling. His internet is drizzling shit right now. You can add that to the list.
Yeah. Let's just put that in there. Rob's internet.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, I think out of these,
Bononi, I don't see anything great from. He's an E.
I realistically think again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I feel like the reason why you're putting Ryan Nemeth into D is because he's Dolph Ziggler's brother.
I think he's got more character. I've watched more of the BTE type stuff, and that helps a little bit. And I could see him just kind of being more useful overall compared to Bononi stands there. And Bononi's big, but what's that doing for anybody?
I do agree that I feel like he has the most character, but I also feel like he's the worst worker of the three of them.
I also think that all three of these should be E. Just if anybody's going to be D, that it would be Nemeth for me.
Okay, well, I feel like they are definition jobber status thing. They only beat people they bring in to just be real super enhancement talent. So
yeah,
they fit into that category, and we might as well add Peter Avalon to that connection as well.
I agree with that. That's what I was trying to say before I was rudely cut off.
By the F tier of your internet.
Yeah, by the F tier thing.
Yes.
But we don't have an F tier person yet. Let's try to find an F tier.
Is there an? See, that's maybe where Ryzen will fit into it. But that's I'm trying to think of anyone who's actually terrible that I'd put in F tier. And AEW has a very solid roster.
Michael Nakazawa.
Oh, there we go. There's the F. Good. Thank you. Thank God your internet came back.
MT Nakazawa.
He's perfect. He's perfect for the F tier. I appreciate that. Put Ryzen in there as well. Fuck it.
You want to put Ryzen in there? Is that 2 votes for Ryzen?
I got.
Is Ryzen on the same level as the other people and the rest of it? I feel like those people are better than Ryzen.
I'd be open to the idea of putting Luther on F tier.
Oh no, not Luther.
Dr. Luther is fine.
I haven't seen a damn thing of Luther that I thought just other than drizzling shit.
Put him and Serpentico in E. It's not. They're not
hurting your feelings.
They might be. Who's better, Serpentico or John Cruz?
Half a dozen one, 6 in the other.
Jungle Cruise is better. Jungle Cruise wasn't all that good of a movie.
Jungle Cruise is not that good.
Jungle Cruise is the D tier of rock movies.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I mean, Rock's made some bad movies too. That's the thing.
Yeah, well, Jungle Cruise fits a D tier. Doom is an F.
Let's just do this. I forgot about that.
I'm happy to put MJF there.
Yeah, MJF is fucking ass. It's just.
See, that's quite interesting. The fact that you wouldn't put Miro into S tier, but you put MJF into it when MJF hasn't won a belt yet.
Yeah, I just feel like he's just way too prominent you know, not everybody wins the championship kind of deal. Like Ted DiBiase never won the world championship, technically speaking, I guess, but he was an S tier back in the day, that kind of deal.
So I got an interesting one. Where are we ranking 2.0? Because Everrise has had quite the resurgence, haven't they?
They're super fun.
They're so much fun.
But obviously they're fun as jobbers. But I feel like they're D. I think they're D tier. They're above that because of the force of their personality.
Which is amazing because they would have been E if not flat out no opinion in WWE.
You guys are thinking D tier. It makes sense because they are definitively comedic jobber characters, but they are just so much fucking fun. And
they're comedic jobbers that you'll find on Dynamite more often and Rampage, whereas like the other ones like more E side of people that primarily wrestle on Dark and Elevation.
They're in the range of what WWE saw Heath Slater, where it's like, we like this jobber, you know, that kind of deal, as opposed to, we'll like this guy and keep giving him jobber spots. It's like, no, these guys are fun. And I don't understand, we've talked about this before, I really don't understand how WWE went, we're going to build 205 Live essentially around you, and we're going to give you multiple different types of jobs with it, like web show and whatever, and then pretty much that same week or the week after or whatever, it's like, also you're fired. I just, this Nick Khan thing, man, different story for another podcast again, but where are we leaning with let's pick a random one. Let's go even Page.
B.
He's in this range to me.
I
don't know if I'd go as high as B, but
he had a really good thing with Darby, but
yeah,
he kind of mellowed out.
He would be on the high end of C's if he was in C, just because I feel like he's just that little bit away that he's either on the low end of B or he's on the super high end of C.
Right. I know he can be higher on B, but I'm not getting it yet. So I'm kind of like,
I think because again, if we get out our own like personal preference and the fact that what we would do with these people, I'm more comfortable putting him in B now.
I'd lean more towards the B. He's B- right now.
Yeah.
Knowing that he's not living up to his potential. And for that matter, Scorpio Sky, I'd put in B as well.
Yeah, I think Scorpio's a good fit for B. Okay. One that's a bit, again, leaning personal side of it as well. I would like to put Jack Evans in either D or E.
I am fine with putting him in E.
No argument.
And add Angelico to D at this point.
Yeah.
Yep, because Jack, I mean, look, I'm not going to crap on somebody for being, having their jobs and everything. I don't want anybody to lose their jobs or whatever, but holy shit, have TH2 gone downhill from what they seemed like they could have potentially gotten to. And on this roster, there's not many people you can argue are in as prominent of a spot and as meaningless as Jack Evans right now. He is the least capable person on a faction that makes no sense. And if you got Angelico and Jack Evans in a match, they're going to lose. And it's more than likely Jack Evans that's going to take the loss. So it's like, he's just kind of... He's not looking good right now on the roster, that's for sure.
Yeah, they definitely fell from like when Double or Nothing 2019 happened and you felt like, oh, they could be a really top tier tag team for them. Yeah, nobody could have foreseen the tag teams they would get. You know?
So if we're talking about tag teams and we're talking about kind of mixing some names up here and there, what about Private Party?
C. Yeah. They're just
Butcher and Blade D. Let's just do the whole Hardy family organization.
I agree about Butcher and Blade being more in D. If anything, Blade goes into C, but that's kind of pushing it.
Yeah, I was thinking about it now. I thought it was a little bit harsh for a start, but like now looking at it, considering the people that we are potentially going to put in C, it probably makes more sense to put them in D.
And even though we definitively by the bell curve type of thing end up with a more C tier type talent, the D and the C tier, they kind of They kind of work out like that sometimes.
They do bleed over a little bit. Hardy you can go and see, though, Matt Hardy.
Yeah, can't go much higher than that. That's for sure. Matt Hardy's not working well in AEW.
I think he's doing fine.
He's been fine. It's been different because he came in wanting to do the broken thing. Because remember, everybody was still pretty high on the broken thing.
Yeah, everybody wanted that to seem like, and I'm sure in his mind, he's like, I'm going to go over here and it's going to be the big deal that I'm expecting that it should be. And I'm, this.
And it was for a week.
Yeah, for a week, right?
Yeah. And that's not a knock. Like, Hardy debuted the same night as Brody Lee, and I think overall, even in the short time frame he unfortunately was only given, Brody had a bigger impact.
Let's put it this way: is Matt Hardy that much higher comparatively on the AEW roster right now than he would have been if he was still in WWE? I don't think so.
Well, he bid jobber in WWE.
I think Matt and Jeff probably have tag titles right now in WWE.
I mean, well, you see what they're doing with Jeff right now. Right?
Yeah, well, that's fair.
I mean, as a tag team, they're probably more like they would be positioned probably better just because they don't have any tag teams. But like,
Jeff had a good match with Priest.
Yeah, a week after he was chasing 24/7 title.
Yeah, but I mean, look at Matt Hardy. He has a good match with Christian, but he's also just sort of like, hey, I'm hanging around with
Orange Cassidy right now,
Butcher and the Blade and whatnot.
Yeah,
that's right. He's got the Orange Cassidy thing going on. I forgot about that. It's forgettable.
He's still prominently featured. You can't say, I'm not saying the stuff he's doing right now is the best work of his entire career, but he's still like heavily featured, I feel.
So you mentioned Cassidy. Last year we put him in the S tier as like the standout character of AEW. I'll put him in B. Safely.
Yeah, I'll put him in B. Yeah.
See, if we go with like personal preference things, Orange Cassidy is an S tier guy for me. I think he's an A tier right now. I think that he could win the championship, and I think people will go crazy. I think he's definitively one of the most engaging characters, and he's one of the few people you can make a Matt Hardy hair versus hair thing around, where he literally just goes whatever, and it still works.
I think the goalposts have changed.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, I think he's a D talent right now.
We got way too many people that just legacy alone could go in S.
Fundamentally, I disagree, but it's 2 votes, and at least you guys are going B. And so if you guys were going like C, I'd be like, oh my god, guys, ridiculous.
No, of course not. He's definitely like
if
higher up.
If I was going to put Orange Cassidy in C, it would only be to make a vitamin, like to make a orange
vitamin C thing.
Yeah.
Let's see another one that we could go with. Evil Uno.
See?
See?
Yeah, I like it. I'd put a Stu Grayson in there as well, even though I think Stu Grayson's a better worker. I think Evil Uno has more personality.
Yeah.
So.
I'd put John Silver in there as well.
Yeah, I'd say John Silver fits that one.
I'd put Alex Reynolds in there too.
I think Alex, I'd lean more towards D, just because John Silver's got the more personality out of the two of them.
I look at it as C+, C-.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I'd put 5 and 10 and D.
Yeah, 5 and 10 go in D.
That's exactly where I'm thinking, because that's the difference between them. I would much rather watch Reynolds and Silver in a tag team match than 5 and 10.
We've almost cleared it out then, so what about Colt Cabana?
Yeah, let's get Cabana's a D.
He's more of a D.
But maybe a C.
I think there's
C
more
potential.
you can do with Colt Cabana just because of just name value alone.
But have they done it?
Well, no, but
so
doesn't mean you can't do.
That's where I go with.
But that's why
I try not to rank it as much of how I would put them in, a little bit more of how they put them as well. And I'm like, I'd put Cabana a little bit more towards the C and use them a little bit more, but the way that they've used them, if I didn't know anything ahead of time and I were looking at Colt Cabana right now, September 2021, I'd be like, why is this guy supposed to matter? He's never a prominent character in any of these Dark Order things, you know? If anything, they give more credibility and everything to 10. That's why I'd go D.
We can put him in D for now to see what it looks like at the end of it.
Yeah.
Paul White. D?
I don't think you go higher than a D.
He's a D in this contract. We're not saying the Big Show's a fucking
No, but
D.
it's legacy thing. Obviously,
Yeah.
he's someone that you can pull out of thing, but he can only. I think that realistically, you should only have him beating the people that are also on D and lower.
So
if he starts beating people, he starts beating loads of people. Like he could probably beat like Private Party or Willie U or something like that in C tier. But as soon as you start having him beat the B tiers and A tiers, you start going, oh, why are they pushing a 50-year-old giant that with a replaced hip?
For that matter, QT Marshall, D.
Yep. Not gonna have an argument on that one.
Nick Comoroto, D.
Yep. He's got a higher ranking by all means than like an Aaron Solo in that range, but he's not winning the matches yet. So it's like you can't really go, Comoroto's not in the same regard as like Wardlow right now,
Kip Sabian, D.
C.
It's tough.
I'll listen.
Higher ceiling.
I'll listen to C. I agree. Okay, I agree with you.
I'd lean more towards C. I feel like
lower end right now.
He's I don't know if I published this one yet or if this is still not getting published by this point on Thursday. But Kip Sabian's on my list of, I had written up an article, who should AEW or who should WWE look to potentially poach from AEW? And fundamentally, of course, the first thing I needed to do on that article was to say probably mostly everybody, but nobody's going to go. You know what I mean? Because it's like, obviously, if you're WWE, you're going to say, hey, MJF, we want you here. And he's going to go, fuck off, But Kip Sabian is a guy that I could definitely see them potentially being able to bring over. And I think he could do a little bit better in WWE, but he still wouldn't be winning the WWE Championship. It's kind of Kip Sabian's, he's in C, and he hasn't come back yet and tweaked his character, so we don't know how that's going to work. It might even happen tonight on Dynamite because we're recording this on Wednesday instead of Thursday when we're publishing this. So I don't know. We might even tomorrow. We might be like, man, Sabian did something great, or whatever.
Well, speaking of that article, can I suggest someone that I'm pretty sure is prominently featured in that article? Brian Cage.
He was the absolute inspiration of this article.
Yeah.
Because it's like, he needs to go to WWE.
And I think he belongs in C.
C for Cage.
I would go, I think he can be an A tier.
He can be, but we're talking where he is.
I think that they're putting him in B tier, but they're booking him like a C tier. It's fucking weird.
I think that Brian Cage is someone who absolutely should go to WWE.
100%.
Because I think he just doesn't work in AEW. And I think he's been incredibly disappointing since he joined.
He came in as the guy that I was like, oh shit, he's going to beat Moxley.
Yeah. But I think he's been disappointing both in the level of his books and in the level of his performances and promos. And just, honestly, he hasn't radiated any sort of like specialness or uniqueness out of it beyond just the fact that he looks the way that he looks. So to me, he's kind of just a body at this point. And I don't want him to beat Ricky Starks. I don't want him to fight for the TNT Championship. I don't really want him to be involved in anything. I just want him to. It feels like being super harsh, but I probably would be better placed to, like, if you're going to be bringing in a Kevin Owens, you're bringing in some other people in the future, he's a guy that you should be shipping out to make room for those people. Like,
fundamentally, he should be somebody fighting Kenny Omega right now and making it seem like Kenny Omega has to fight to retain his championship. And instead, it's like, okay, well, let's remind the audience that we don't feel like we're getting around to that Ricky Starks match after weeks and weeks and weeks.
They haven't done that yet.
I think that they just kind of don't care.
Yeah, I mean, it probably hasn't helped by the fact that his wife has piped up on like Twitter.
Yeah,
and stuff like
that ain't gonna do him any good.
So I would say that I just feel like they don't. So something just not clicking with him in this environment, and that must be the case. I'm not trying to take anything away from his ability or anything like that. It's just a case of in this current environment, it's just not working, and he needs to probably go somewhere else to flourish a bit more. So right now, I feel like even though I agree with you, Tony. There is potential to move him up to the higher levels. I think I wouldn't feel comfortable putting him on the same tier as some of the other people on B right now. Just feel like they're better positioned.
My ultimate vote goes B for Brian. Your vote's C for Cage. Where are you going, Rob? You're a difference maker.
C.
2 votes for C then. Go to WWE, man, if you can. Because that was literally the inspiration for the article. Was like, okay, well, Brian Cage, and then let me figure out the rest.
Well, yeah, I knew that as well. So that's let's have a look at some other people.
Ricky Starks, B.
B or A at the very least, yeah.
B.
Yeah, I'd say B now. He's definitely going to be elevated towards an A soon, but right now, B.
So even just looking at this right now, I'm like, Ricky Starks is better than Sky and Page.
He is,
and better than Kingston.
Not so much Eddie Kingston.
Is he better than Andrade?
Not Andrade and Eddie Kingston, and for that matter, not Pac, who I would also throw in B right now.
Yeah, I'd say that Pac is probably
Pac's a B
as well. Yeah, but I think Ricky Starks is B as well because he just hasn't been. He's a couple of steps away from being pushed towards an A, but he just hasn't been pushed towards that level yet. I would say B also fits for. Well, actually, I'll put a couple of A's in. Both the Jackson brothers are A's.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, they just are.
Because it's a different thing with AEW towards WWE is the fact that tag teams are also main eventers.
For that matter, Lucha Brothers.
Yeah, I'd say they're both A's as well. Well, we both said it, so they're both A's.
Did you watch the fucking match at the pay-per-view?
Yeah.
If we go, see, the thing is, if we go singles, I wouldn't go A for both of them. I'd lean more towards Phoenix doing that.
We're not ranking them like that. We're ranking them as a team.
Right, but I mean, like, if we typed at Lucha Bros right there, but if we typed the individuals, a different kind of story. But it ultimately...
I'd still... Rob, correct me if I'm like sticking out of turn here, but I would still push Phoenix and Pentagon toward the world title at some point.
They would definitely be there. I think as individuals, they would probably be more B, but they got the tag team that's definitely an A team.
Yeah. This is the same way like Matt Man, Nick Jackson on their own don't work.
In the same way that I would say, if you're going to, Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood are an A tag team.
I'd go B.
No, A. Again, you need to judge things differently. They are tag team specialists, so...
The fucking Revival is... We all agreed that they were the best thing to ever come out of NXT. Like,
the Revival's fantastic, but again, I'm kind of looking at this as a little bit more of like the singles types of things. So like
that means that every single tag team wrestler you put down a level just because they're not singles guys.
Well, I'm also I'm not loving them in AEW as much as I was thinking that I was going to.
I just don't think they've wrestled as frequently as maybe they would hope and stuff like that. But there's just too many people and there's too much.
There's so much going on all the time.
Yeah, and they need more. Well, they just don't have the capacity to feature them as often as they probably would like to. But I still think that they're those three teams are like the main ones. And don't just italicize them because they don't. Because
I think we all would agree, most likely, Cash Wheeler's not by himself. Dax Harwood leaves.
But none of them are by themselves. That's the point.
But I'm just saying that we have them listed as individuals on things as a tag team.
If you want to erase that, just like I would put the tag team names and just have them all as an A.
Oh, then I could do that. Yeah, that would make sense. And just because we are mostly young bucks. And then Lucha Bros and FTR. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I would say Sean Spears is a C.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's probably
Sean Spears is a C.
Yeah.
Guevara is a B.
I agree.
Yeah, and be an A.
He and Starks perpetually kind of just they're in that same range all the time for me.
They'll move up soon.
Yeah.
For now, they're very close to an A, but Santana Ortiz are B.
Yeah, if we go again with the Proud and Powerful, they're B level at the moment. I just feel like even though they just beat FTR and so they're probably more positioned to challenge for the title, I just feel FTR are just more prominently like they're the more established team because they've won the titles already.
Hobbs is a C.
Hobbs is a C. Yep.
Potential B.
Yeah, he'll go up in the future from that point. I'd say Kazarian is a C as well at the moment.
Yep, I agree about that. We don't have Mike Seidel on this list.
Oh,
I forgot about him. But I saw Matt Seidel.
Matt Seidel's a C. Mike
is a D.
A D.
Yeah. And tag team, they don't really stand out to me enough to separate them. To not
there's
separate
more
them.
difference. Like I could get into more of a Matt Seidel one-on-one match than a Mike Seidel one. So
yeah.
Luchasaurus is a C. Jungle Boy is a B.
I think they're both B.
I can live with that.
I'd go B for both of them. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel.
I'd even potentially make the argument that Jungle Boy's an A. Like Jungle Boy's just fucking great.
I think he's right on the cusp. He's a BB, like a B plus almost, because he's someone who. But I think they like putting him in the B position just because it makes him more of an underdog.
Stunt is a D.
Stunt. I could make the argument Stunt's an E.
He's more of a manager, so I'd be fine putting him in E.
Yeah, I'm not thinking.
I would also make space on the E1 for Mr. Joey Janela.
Joey Janela is an E.
A D, but I can.
And
I get it.
I would also add Sonny Kiss to that as well. I've not been impressed at all with what Sonny Kiss has done since joining AEW.
And I'm kind of... Sonny Kiss used to be a potential C, and then it became a D, and now Sonny Kiss is in that E range.
I just look at him and I look in comparison. I think he's the weakest, maybe not the weakest, but he's among the weakest wrestlers on the E side of things as well.
If you didn't give him a contract... I like a lot about Sonny Kiss, but if you didn't give him a contract beforehand, I would be like, well, they've got a big roster. I don't know if I would necessarily sign him. And if you compare to like Jack Evans, I'm like, well, Jack Evans is in an E right now. Sonny Kiss isn't doing anything more than that. In fact, you could argue Sonny Kiss is doing even less. So
I think Sonny Kiss was a statement signing, and I think Sonny Kiss was a signing when we still kind of thought it would be Jericho, Bullet Club, and a bunch of indie people. And that is so far from what we have now.
Yeah.
Dante Martin, C?
Yeah.
D. Oh, okay. I'm not going to argue it.
I feel like he's elevated enough as a singles guy to... I put
him on par with Matt Seidel.
Yeah, I really enjoy his matches. So
yeah.
I would say both members of the Acclaimed also fit into the C bracket.
Yes.
I agree. They have been doing some great stuff. They've had some hiccups along the way, but they're not, especially individually, they're not B tier yet.
Yeah.
For a little while there, Max Caster was getting close to that though.
Yeah.
Like
Max Caster has the better, obviously the mic skills, he's got a huge amount of charisma, but Anthony Bowens is the better wrestler of the two of them. I think as a tag team they'll be pushing up to B soon.
Yeah. Yeah, if you go the Acclaimed as a tag team, I put them towards B, but individuals, C.
All right, if Paul White's a D, Sting is at least a C. Sting is fun.
I'd go so far as to say I'd put Sting in no opinion.
Bullshit. Sting's had more matches than Paul White. We ranked Paul White.
Where are you thinking, Callum?
I think he's a C.
Yeah.
He's a nice novelty actor.
Yeah, he's been great. He hasn't done a single thing that's overstayed its welcome.
I just kind of treat him more as a manager to me.
He's technically more of a manager, but then in the same vein, we should treat Paul White as more of a commentator.
True, but Paul White had a recent match that was just kind of annoying, so that's more fresh on my mind.
Yeah, he had a match with 2.0 recently, Steve.
Yeah, thing tapped out 2.0.
That's right. Yeah, forgot about that.
Got some top end people, but I want to put Dustin Rhodes in C as well.
I can agree with that.
There's even an argument that he could be B, just because of how good he is. Like he is so good at.
He has no right to still be in that range, but he's great.
He can like with at that sort of age, you're almost like, okay, we can like forgive you for like dropping a step and stuff like that. No, he keeps pace with the people that are much younger and him. So, but yeah, we'll keep it in C for now and just see how it
Hager is a D.
I agree with Jake Hager being in D. I don't get it. I don't like him.
He's not doing anything right now. I can't really sign off on him being some B or something like that.
He's a heavy. He's a heavy right now.
He's a heavy that's not even really supporting anybody, because what's the last thing that he's done? He kind of helped fight off people, and that's it.
Yeah, he helped fight off Wardlow to the back during the Jericho and MJF match. So.
You're petering on having low amount of gas on that kind of feud, you know?
Speaking of Wardlow, he's a C.
I could probably co-sign on that one. I think he's very close to getting into the B range, but...
He's got B potential, for sure.
He hasn't had a lot of matches recently, so... The only matches I've seen him have really on Dark where he's teaming with Shawn Spears. It's
Trent?
I think you like
go Trent.
Best friends are B.
As a tag team, best friends are a B.
So I like Trent way more overall singles than Chuck Taylor. Like if we were to go singles, I'd definitely separate the two as opposed to the same level, but just plus and minus. Best friends as a tag team is a different story because I like that as a tag team better than either of the two as a singles.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think that I personally like Chuck Taylor more than Trent because I just don't think that Trent's got a lot of personality.
Like he's another scenario. Chuck Taylor does have more personality, and if you could take Chuck Taylor's personality, add it to Trent, I think you got somebody who's higher up, you know, kind of deal.
So I think I'd be happier putting them together as a tag team and putting them in B instead.
Yeah,
than ranking them separately. Because I feel like they'd both be lower down, and I'd rather have them elevated a bit more.
All right, we got some good people at the left here. I just want to get rid of one guy. Brandon Cutler's an E. I don't know why we haven't ranked him.
No, he is nowhere near an E. What are you talking about?
He's so good.
He's a C, if not a B.
He's the king of the jobbers.
All right, well that's fair then.
I think he's
I'd lean towards almost B, but I'd go C.
No, he can't be B.
He's a C then.
Because he's never gonna ever like B is when you start. Okay, he's gonna like someone who could really challenge for the TNT Championship, or maybe even in a little while get elevated to the world title. Cutler's never gonna win the world championship. He's never gonna win a championship in AEW. Maybe
and it's funny too to think though, like if you go with a list of the jobbers and you rank the jobbers, obviously, of course, any tier list, the more that you have like a wide range, the more that this becomes a different type of bell curve. But like a list of jobbers, he's S tier. He is the best jobber. Easily.
Him and Barry Horowitz just like looking down at everyone else.
Right, yeah, like that kind of a range. But it's like, yeah, you know, fundamentally you can't compare him to, you know, Kenny Omega and put him in fucking A tier, you know what I mean? Like, so he's a C tier.
That argument is now swaying me into putting him in D. Because I think King of the Jobbers, you can only be a D+.
Fair enough.
I don't think I could see basically everyone else in that list of C would all beat him in a match.
True. Yeah. I tried, Brandon. But
you actually talked him out of it. I was willing to put him in C, and then you took me out of it. So good job. Sorry, Brandon. Tony was very adamant that you had to be in D instead, so that was kind of...
I would put him in C. I'll put it that way. I think that he transcends past that range where I'd still put him in C.
All right, the ones we have remaining, there's some people ranging from S to B. I don't think anyone will drop below that.
I would agree with that statement.
So even though he hasn't done anything yet, are we just going Bryan Danielson in S?
I think he's
just
because
good
of his
for
body of work. I think he has to be an S. Yeah.
Right. Like we know that he's S tier. It's just that we're doing this list September 15th. If we wait a month, it's probably going to be S tier anyway. So
if they didn't push Bryan Danielson to S tier, then that would be ridiculous.
Right.
All right. So where's Punk?
I
wouldn't go S. I'd go A. Even though we know from his past and everything, it's...
I'm not, but like, just think about this, though. Human beings were crying tears for this man's presence.
Yeah, but, okay, I'm going to try and compare it to this, and I know this is a stupid comparison because of the way they actually did it in WWE, but when Hulk Hogan came back in 2002, I know they made him world champion, but if it was my tier list, is my company, he would be like a super A nostalgia act. Like he'd be a guy that I'd put in nice little feuds and maybe I'd have him challenge for the world title, but I would never make him the world champion. But
fair enough.
It's just a thing with Punk. As I was talking about earlier, it's just a case of I feel like, yeah, he's great for this this current era thing, but I wouldn't necessarily make him world champion straight away. I'd have him challenge for it, but I'd use him to elevate someone else.
For that matter, that's why I say Christian goes in A.
Christian is absolutely an A.
Yeah. I would say that Darby Allen's an A at this point now.
Darby Allen is an A.
I feel like they positioned him too highly to make him.
He's on a tier certainly above Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. At the very least, he needs to be because he's just look. I like Starks and Guevara better than Page and Sky. I'll definitively say that they're better than
Darby
Eddie Kingston.
Is above all of them.
But the difference between those and like I would potentially move some people over and that kind of deal, or I'd potentially move Sky and Page down to C. I'd potentially move Kingston down to C, that kind of a deal. But this tier does not yet, outside of Orange Cassidy, nobody has reached the status, well, Jungle Boy to a certain extent, of being in that prominent of a spot. Darby Allen is, on their roster, he's an A tier, even though I personally don't consider him as fun and as interesting and as good of a character and all the other kind of things like that. He's A tier. Yeah.
Let's see. Lance Archer's the B out of the definitive B out of these group.
I'd go B for him. I'd go B for Black right now. And I'd go A for Cody.
Cody is an A.
Yeah, Cody is an A. I would say that Black is an interesting one because what they've done with him so far is really, really good. And
I want to play it safe with Black, though, and say B for now.
Yeah, it's the more comfortable place to put him at this point in time.
Because of Andrade.
Yeah, that's same. Yeah, same.
Kind of rank it that way.
Status. Okay. I feel like it's pretty good so far. It's obviously got the Del curve thing that we're looking for.
I can see maybe moving a D over to E, maybe an E over to F.
If we're moving an E over to F, the one that stands out most to me, and I know you're looking at Luther. I know that much.
Oh no, there's potential for. I'd honestly, I'd go Marco.
See, I think Marco's entertaining in some capacity with the stuff that he does with.
I think Marco hurts Jurassic Express.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
I think we're all
still
looking
die.
at different people. Because I think Callum's looking at Sonny.
I'm looking at both Sonny and Joey.
I'm looking at Benoni. I don't get it. He still feels super green to me. And he was like the breakout star of NXT 5 years ago.
Yeah, the future star of the year, or whatever the fuck it was.
I mean, we've got 5 people in S tier. So realistically, we could all just say one person we want to put into
and then move like 2 or 3 from D, maybe even over to E.
Yeah,
if we need to, but
maybe.
If you all right, well then let's. This is the range of what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Luther is inoffensive, so I wouldn't necessarily put Luther. But the other names that are highlighted, I could see going over.
I'd make more of a case of Marco than Luther, because Luther's there to job as a tag team thing. Marco, I don't get it. I fundamentally don't get it.
See, I do get it with Marco. I just feel like he's never going to be like put in position, but he's good for the Jurassic Express because it means that if they do 6-man matches, he can be the one that takes the pinfall. He does some cool little like dives and spots, and the crowd seem to respond to him well. I feel so.
I get it with Marco, but
Marco's the one that I would least put into F tier out of these names.
I'll put it this way, and it's going to come out maybe a little bit insensitive because of the height situation. Marco in AEW is Hornswoggle in WWE, where it's like, isn't this a fun and interesting little act to laugh at sort of a thing? Because he's doing the dance and all that. And I'm like, when I see Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus go out for a match, they're going to not only kill it, but they can beat almost anybody. Marco's never going to beat anybody. And if he does, it's because it's funny. And that's where I go, that's the drizzling shits. I don't fucking laugh, you know?
But I don't feel like it'll be a case of like Hornswoggle in the WWE comparison was only offensive to me when he started getting pushed prominently and started being like pretty much just a key player on basically every episode of Raw or SmackDown. Like Marco Stunt he's mostly in the background just supporting Jurassic Express. I don't find what he does offensive or find it difficult to understand why they use him. Joe Janela and Sonny Kiss is more just a case of pure disappointment about what they've accomplished so far, based on especially the
Janela made a big waves at the very beginning of this company, and then
he's just I think he's just been, I don't want to say exposed or anything like that, but it's just a case of he just doesn't fit in this sort of structure of the company, and now he's trying to build this other storyline with Sonny Kiss on Dark and Dark Elevation. It's just like that's the level they're going to be at. Neither of them are ever going to really be featured on Dynamite. That's the one thing you could say about Marcus Stunt and all of them. Out of all these 5, he's the one that's most commonly featured on Dynamite. So that's why I don't think like he can go any lower than that. He's a jobber, definitely, but he's the most prominently featured of them.
Janela has the best chance to bounce back. There's enough in Janela, there's enough popularity to Janela that Janela can bounce back.
Yeah, out of these, I think he's the one that could jump up more.
See, I think that it's Sonny Kiss, and Sonny Kiss is the one that's most likely to jump up more. That's just because of, that people will just get behind him and just say like, "Why aren't you using Sonny Kiss?" Blah blah blah.
The LGBT, like the representation aspect of it.
Yeah. He's got
fair point.
I wouldn't want to put Sonny Tier in the F tier. Sonny Kiss in the Sonny Tier. I almost said Sonny Tier in the F Kiss.
I wouldn't want to put.
I'd rather put Janela in there because of how much higher he was and how much lower he's fallen.
Well, I'm gonna just completely I want to veto putting Marco Stunt in there, so I'm not gonna.
I think it makes sense.
F tier. I feel like, out of these ones, if I was to rank them in order in which I would put them in F tier, it would be Sonny, Joey, Benoni, Luther, and then Marco. So
if we do a vote apiece, which we don't have to necessarily if we make agreements on anything, I'd go Marco in there for mine. Markto. What would yours, Rob, be?
Benoni.
And then what would yours be, Callum?
Sonny Kiss, probably.
Sonny Kiss. So then,
I'm good.
Do we have any arguments of not putting Benoni on there?
Not super serious.
I think that Drake and Nemeth are better in the ring than Benoni.
Yeah. He has the size.
He has the size, but he's not doing anything with it too. So, and he has no character. Like when they do these, the BTE skits and stuff, like Nemeth is like creating whole things. I don't love his bits on BTE, but he is doing things based off of himself. And JD Drake kind of is like more comedic timing. Benoni stands there. He doesn't do a damn thing. Yeah. So I'd sign off on that being one of them. And then a matter of these 4.
I wouldn't put Marco. I think Marco, like Callum said, he's not being pushed like he's a big deal. We all know what Marco is. Sonny Kiss.
We don't have to put any more than 3 if you don't want to, Rob.
It's not much of a serious argument, kind of like Callum said with Benoni, but I can see it.
I'd make more of a case for Janela than Sonny Kiss. And I'd even potentially, if you guys are not biting with the Marco thing, I'd make the case of Janela and Kiss together.
I think it's a fair put because they were both, there was high hopes for both of them. And I think they've kind of not lived up to that. Because even then they became a team and then they didn't do anything.
Yeah, they didn't get anywhere close to being a prominent tag team. This feud's going on. I don't know a damn person that's mentioned anything about it. So if that's the best that they could do,
Yeah, I can. I wouldn't bat an eyelid about putting them in F tier. So,
I think the only thing they have is a fan base that will rally them to higher tiers.
Yeah, I'm sure some people are going to be like, how the hell would you put them in F tier? And it's like, because it's not good right now,
And that's, again, it's a right now. Like we said, last year we had Orange Cassidy in S tier. This year he's in B. It's going to change and it's going to shake up.
I think we should probably move somebody from D to E, if not two people.
I would say the one that strikes me probably most to move into E would be Sean Dean.
Yeah.
I feel bad because I haven't seen super much of the guy, but obviously he's out of those people. If he was to face most of those people in D, he would probably be in the losing end because he hasn't won many matches at all. So
I'd potentially put Mike Seidel.
Mike's also
another name I was thinking, yeah.
Because really, I mean, comparing him to the Butcher and the Blade, I'm like, or Preston Vance, Seidel's not as big of a deal.
It'd be one of those two. Yeah, it'd be one of those two.
So I put Sean Dean on there, but I don't know.
I'd say you put both of them in there.
And then that, if anything, maybe one more to kind of balance it out a little bit more.
No, I feel like that's fair because that's
pretty good.
It's pretty good of a belt curve.
There's a lot of tag teams there now.
My one judge would maybe see if maybe this is one person C2 want to elevate into B. There's
that's another way of doing it. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I'd say Brian Cage.
Yeah, I can't co-sign with Brian Cage.
My mind goes to maybe. Honestly, I looked at Sting, and I don't know if we can put him as high as B.
No, I can't do it with Sting.
Maybe Wardlow, maybe.
Maybe Wardlow.
The ones that spring to mind are Carl Anderson for me, just because I know how good Carl Anderson could be as a singles, and I think he's a step better in the ring than Doc Gallows. There is the Matt Hardy argument, just because he's more prominently featured, but he's probably past this point that way. Brian Cage is a possibility, but I just don't see it at this point. Not in AEW's hierarchy. I don't want to put in that higher. Then it would be either Dustin Rhodes or Wardlow. And Dustin Rhodes one is partly just the fact that I just want to see him challenge for the World Championship at some point.
Of those, I would say Wardlow, Cage, then Dustin.
I'd go Cage. Actually, no, I'd go Hardy, Cage, Wardlow. Cage is still challenging for that FTW championship. It's just that
and Cage has fought for the world title.
It's just that they're kind of pushing him to the sideline right now. But who's to say that they don't kind of pick up some steam? I'd go Hardy, Cage, Wardlow.
Yeah, I'd go Hardy, Rhodes, and then either Wardlow or Anderson for probably Wardlow as well. But yeah,
potentially Hardy then.
I think Hardy would be. He's the one that's
feuding with Cassidy.
Yeah, he's the one that's probably most prominently pushed out of those guys. So yeah,
it kind of makes sense to put him above two of the people that are on his stable.
But yeah, I feel like that's a more even curve now.
I'd make the case that we could even potentially move one of the other guys over. I think that we could potentially move Cage over to balance that out, but we don't necessarily need to. It would be either Cage or Wardlow in my mind.
If you guys both are feel strongly enough about putting Cage in B, then obviously that outranks me. But that's So if you guys agree to it, then
I would put. I guess if we're moving another one, I'd put Cage in B.
I think that at least explains why we're like, what the hell, guys? You know what I mean? He's a guy who's at least was just in the C range from that, but he should be an A tier easily.
They brought him in as an A tier, but it's just waned.
All right, so we got a good enough thing going on here. It's my little dance moves that goes along with this. Nothing really standing out to me as anything that should be other kinds of changes.
I wonder where certain names will be next year. I wonder where even a Cody. Where's Cody going to be next year? Where's a guy like a Ricky Starks going to be next year? You know, hey, maybe Fuego del Sol is in B tier next year. You know,
I guess if you could get some, maybe we'll go back. We didn't check our previous list ahead of time, but if you'd make any predictions, who goes where for some things that would stand out to your mind? Like a lot of people, I'm assuming, are going to stay in the same range. Like I can't imagine the Butcher and the Blade just suddenly jump up to A tier. But like,
I think Jungle Boy moves up.
I think Jungle Boy moves up. I think that Starks can move up. Guevara can move up.
I think Andrade either moves up to A or goes down to like a C or D.
I could see him moving up more so than going down.
Yeah. I would say that probably within a year or so, Christian will be in a B.
Yeah.
I think
maybe even a C.
I think Black could go up to an A.
Yeah. I think Adam Cole could be an S by that point.
Yeah.
Jericho might be a D depending on how often he's used. I think there's the thing about Jericho about maybe just prominently being in A just because of the name value, but I can see Hobbs in B.
Yeah, Hobbs in B makes a lot of sense. I could see that being the case. He was on my my list for WWE. Should poach him too.
The Acclaimed as a unit in B, probably maybe even A, depending on how heavily they're pushed.
This might sound harsh. I could see Private Party going down to D.
There's a chance. It depends if they start moving away from them even more and like feature them even less prominently. After their like first match beating the Bucks on TV, it's just been downhill since then for them.
And again, I think like that's one of those, when the promotion started, there was a different expectation, and now it's a totally different game.
I could see Pillman and Garrison moving up to the team.
I like Varsity Blondes a lot. I think that they should win those tag titles soon. Not soon, like tomorrow, but like they should be within the next like 3 tag team champions.
I think that Seidel will move down. Kazarian will move down.
I think that Dave Martin's going to move down.
Or
it depends on who they sign up.
Top Flight moves up.
Yeah, Top Flight might actually be
true like tag team.
I think they'll probably be in the C tier tag team because they're just so young that they probably won't put the titles on them immediately. Sting will move down. I'd like to say Dustin moves down, but Dustin could go anywhere at this point, realistically.
We've seen Dustin in an A tier range, and we've seen him as Black Rain. So you never know.
Jericho's another one who, like, if he feels like it, he can go back to S. You know.
Yeah, and I just imagine that that we're probably going to see a few of these people, namely probably Cage and Janela and people like Jack Evans or Angelico, Jake Hager, no longer being on this list by the time next year comes around.
Well, what is it that people have as far as their contracts? Next year is when a lot of contracts expire, right?
When they joined, basically at the start of AEW, a lot of people outside of the executives, a lot of people were highlighting the fact it was like 3-year contracts.
Right.
And so that 3 years is about to come due in what it would be like October 20. Well, they started in January 20. Well, the actual announcement of it was January 2019, so they'll come due in January 22.
Yeah,
a lot of them, but it depends when they were signed. I mean, Cage was signed months after the debut. Yeah, so.
Oh no, he was signed before he showed up. That's right.
It was like 2020, so it was like that he won the Revolution match, didn't it? So yeah, so it would be like the start of 2020 was when he joined. Other people would have signed at different points in time.
No, he signed, if I'm remembering correctly, he signed in 2019, but they just didn't show him until Double or Nothing 2020.
Yeah, but it would have been late 2019 that he got signed. So
probably, yeah.
Yeah, so we don't know exactly those type of things, but it might just be a case of people just requesting their release and getting them granted or anything like that. So I don't feel like they'll be as sticklers to it as WWE are sometimes.
Depending on how many people AEW wants to sign, by this point next year, we might be ranking Bray Wyatt. Well, he wouldn't be Bray Wyatt, but whatever he wants to go by.
And Kevin Steen.
Kevin Steen, most likely, yeah. Maybe even Sami Zayn.
El Generico.
Maybe even
El
Johnny
Generico
Gargano.
comes out of retirement, yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting. So
yeah, but yeah, I think there's plenty of room for it. There's a lot of young guys that are in B and C that could definitely be moving upwards soon, depending on what they decide to do.
So if we're coming around to this in 2022 and John Silver's not on S tier, then something's wrong. He's entertaining as hell. Yes, drop your comments below. Tell us your thoughts on the rankings. Tell us where you would put people, and tell us what you want us to do next, because even though we've got some of the plans going forward of what we're going to be doing over the course of the next few weeks and everything, and we've talked about this before, but we're going to be recording some stuff in advance for the time frame where I'm not going to be around and doing podcasts. We're still taking some suggestions in mind, because I do think that we have at least some kind of a blank week coming along. I don't remember exactly when 100%, but I know that over the course of the next couple of episodes, the things you're going to be hearing from us are going to be the hot tags, and then we're going to get into Extreme Rules predictions and post-show kind of content. And
that next week.
Yep. And we still have no gimmicks announced. So
do we have any matches announced at this point?
Only 4 matches, because we had 5 before and one of them went away.
They just changed the name to Rules.
WWE Rules. But then that'd be kind of a lie.
Doesn't.
Just change it to O'Doyle Rules. There you go. 10 points for anybody who gets the reference. Drop it in the comments below. But if you are subscribed and you check off those email notifications, you get those little alerts of when we go live for the post show and when we do anything else that gets posted up on this. You'll know when we decide to do whatever it is we decide to do. And over the course of that tail end of October and throughout November, we're going to be having some more roster discussion. So if you really like us talking about breaking down these roster things, it's not going to be the current roster. It's actually going to be about all-time roster stuff. And we're going to get into fantasy booking and mock draft stuff. And I'm really looking forward to that. That's something I've been wanting to do, realistically at this point, for 10 years. Now I'm thinking about it. That's insane. And that makes me feel extremely old. And I don't like that. But it is what it is. So check out smarkoutmoment.com. Make sure you check out all the things that I'm doing all over the place here, whether it's the stuff that's on the Bleacher Report or elsewhere, freelance type material, or if it's under a mango tree like Fanboys Anonymous is, which if you go to fanboysanonymous.com, you can see whatever is happening over there on movie reviews and discussions on things like the James Bond franchise, which coming up soon in the next couple of weeks. We got the new Bond film, so another edition of A Review to a Kill, where we're breaking down No Time to Die. We've got fan tracks coming out here about the Austin Powers films, if you want to check them out. We already recorded those a couple weeks ago. So lots of stuff happening over on Fanboys. Like and follow and share and favorite and subscribe, and check out those TeePublic and Redbubble shops, and hit up that Patreon and all the positives, all the thumbs up all over the place. Follow me at Tony Mango and follow these guys on their stuff. Check out what they've got going on as well.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at DudeFelice. Follow me on Instagram at DudeFelice. Follow Fightful Select. Follow Fightful.com. And yeah, just keep supporting everything that we're doing, and we thank you. Callum?
Yeah, follow me on Twitter at Wigmeister14. Check out all of the articles on smarkatmoment.com. Prioritize the power rankings, because that was my week-to-week contribution. And yeah, make sure you're listening to On Repeat, the retro podcast that we put together, the 2001 Wrestling Odyssey, Paul Heyman's SmackDown podcast, available in the Smark Out Moment archives.
Okie dokie, everybody, that's going to do us in for this edition. We want to thank you for listening. We want to thank you for all your support. And we will see you next time with the hot tags coming up tomorrow night, now that it's Thursday that I'm posting this. Yeah, tomorrow night. We'll break down all the news and reports, and we'll talk about trademarks. We'll talk about our thoughts on NXT 2.0, which is not actually 2.0. I've decided that it's actually 6.0. And
well, that changed since the last time we talked.
I went through the list, and I was like, you know what? There's actually an extra one in there. So it's NXT 6.0.
And then we're going to talk about Big E.
We'll talk about Big E cashing in Money in the Bank, winning the WWE Championship. We'll give you some updates on any changes that have happened with Extreme Rules based off of SmackDown. We'll talk about if anything happens on NXT UK, Dynamite, Rampage, etc., etc., etc. We'll see you then, everybody. But for now, this has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.
Yeah.